Mumbai, the city that never sleeps.
Right.
And beneath all those glittering lights, you had Aarav and Priya.
Oh, yeah, the fitness power couple.
Exactly. They had it all, right?
Yeah.
Sculpted bodies, exotic vacations.
Living the dream.
And their love story, I mean, it was all over Instagram, intertwined with dumbbells and protein shakes. They were the perfect picture of couple goals.
Totally. The kind of stuff you can't help but double tap.
But then, on one night, all that changed.
What happened?
A screen cut through their luxury apartment.
Oh, wow.
And then silence. The perfect facade was shattered.
Revealing the darkness underneath.
Exactly. Welcome to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Love series.
Yeah.
It's crazy how easy it is to get caught up in the surface.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, their brand was all about aspiration, fitness, wealth, a passionate love story. But what was really going on behind those perfectly curated posts?
Well, that's what's so fascinating to me, the psychology of it all. Like, how do envy and ambition play out in a relationship where both people are in the same career?
That's a really good point. They were each other's biggest supporters, but at the same time, maybe also like their biggest competition.
Definitely. And then add in the pressure cooker of social media.
Oh, totally. Where every achievement, every sponsored post is there for everyone to see.
Exactly. So were they comparing themselves to each other, getting caught up in a toxic kind of competition?
It's definitely possible. So let's try to unpack who Aarav and Priya really were, beyond the couple goals image,
Okay, so Aarav, he was 32, already a well-known fitness trainer when he met Priya.
Right, with a solid client base and a reputation for being tough but motivating.
Yeah, the tough love kind of guy.
And then you have Priya, 29, the yoga instructor who kind of took the fitness world by storm.
She was different, right?
Yeah, from what I read, her approach was way more zen, focused on inner peace just as much as physical strength.
Right, and that difference might be important. You see, as Priya's popularity exploded, she started attracting these really big brand deals.
The kind that go beyond fitness, right? Like lifestyle, fashion.
Exactly. She was becoming a celebrity in her own right.
Which must have shifted the power dynamic in their relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, suddenly, the woman who was initially drawn to Aarav's experience was kind of surpassing him in some areas.
For sure. And that's where those cracks in the foundation, those little fissures, might start to show.
Right, because even though we can't know for sure what was going on behind closed doors.
Resentment can build, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you mix it with love and ambition.
A potent cocktail.
So here we have this seemingly golden couple, but maybe underneath, there's tension simmering. Were there any public signs that things weren't as perfect as they seemed?
Well, there were whispers, rumors going around, like people at the gym would mention overheard arguments, and those seemed to get more frequent as Priya became more successful.
Okay, so not just rumors, but actual arguments that people witnessed.
Yeah, and some of their friends noticed changes in Aarav. He'd be withdrawn sometimes, but then at events he'd be, well, almost possessive of Priya.
Possessive how? Like trying to control who she talked to.
It was more like he needed to be the center of attention, even when the spotlight was on Priya. It was almost as if her success somehow made him feel less successful.
That's so sad, though. Why couldn't they just celebrate each other's wins instead of letting those successes drive them apart?
You're right, and it makes you think about how we approach competition. We often think of it as a motivator, a way to push ourselves further. But in a relationship, it can be incredibly damaging if it isn't handled carefully.
So we've got this pressure cooker situation, brewing professional rivalry, maybe some insecurity on Aarav's part. And then, well, the night of October 15th, 2020, everything changed.
That's when the whispers turned into screams, and their love story took a dark turn, a tragic one.
Because that's when their apartment became a crime scene.
Wow. Imagine you're a neighbor in their building. It's late, you're having dinner, maybe watching a movie, and then you hear it?
Hear what?
Shouting, a man, angry, a woman pleading.
It's scary to think about someone's life falling apart. And you're right there, so close, hearing it all. What even started the fight that night?
Seems like a business deal. Priya took it without talking to Aarav.
Do we know anything about the deal?
Reports say it was big, a chance for her to, go solo.
So not just competition at work, but maybe the end of their partnership too. Aarav must have been feeling so much fear with Isher. Losing Priya, being left behind.
Yeah.
Her success overshadowing him.
And don't forget the online life, the pressure to keep up that perfect image while everything's falling apart.
Like a Greek tragedy almost. Their carefully built image, colliding with real life, raw and messy. But nothing justifies what happened next.
No, nothing does. No pressure, no jealousy. It's never an excuse. According to the police, it escalated. Things thrown, accusations, and then Aarav grabbed a dumbbell,
A dumbbell.
a symbol of their passion. But now, a weapon, he hit Priya.
That's just awful. A dumbbell meant to build strength, used for such a horrible act. What happened next?
Aarav called 911 right away. He understood what he'd done. Even tried to help her undo the unthinkable. Too late.
Nice.
The ambulance came. Priya was already gone.
Rage, panic, remorse, all mixed together. In those moments after it tore her, did he want to save her? Or was it about saving himself?
We can't know his thoughts, but he called for help. He stayed. That shows some accountability. Maybe a little humanity in the horror.
Accountability, but Priya's still gone. The investigation focused on those last moments.
Of course, crime scene victim and Aarav, he admitted to it. But proving intent, the line between accident and violence, that's the complicated part.
Because the law sees those differently.
Right.
What Aarav was thinking, what he wanted to do in that rage. Did the investigation find anything about that?
Forensics were clear, blunt force trauma, the dumbbell Aarav's prints on it. But they also looked into their history. The couple's looking for a pattern, a motive. More than just one fight.
Were there any warning signs? Anything suggesting this was building up?
That's where the digital stuff matters. Police looked at everything. Social media, texts, emails, searching for clues. And what they found went beyond the happy pictures.
What do you mean? What was hidden there?
The little things. At the time, they seemed innocent. But after the tragedy, they meant something else. Like Aarav's comments on Priya's photos, jokes, but with a possessive edge. Or when Priya posted about success, and then cryptic messages, challenges, feeling unseen.
Maybe she was asking for help, signals trapped in a situation that was getting worse.
It's possible we show an ideal version of ourselves online, but it can also be a place to confess, to look for validation, even if it's hidden.
So sad. Sending out signals while stuck in something unbearable. Did they find proof of abuse before that night?
No reports filed, no witnesses saying he hurt her physically, but abuse isn't always physical. The emotional control, putting her down, that's damage too. Invisible scars.
Scars that don't show up on Instagram.
Right.
Hidden behind filters, forced smiles. Trying to convince everyone that everything's perfect.
Exactly, and that's what makes this case so disturbing, so relevant. It makes us see the darkness behind the surface, question what we really know about the lives we see online.
A reminder. We never truly know what's happening in someone else's relationship. Behind the happy pictures, the hashtags, could be pain and desperation. So we see this complex story. Ambition, envy, maybe a loss of trust and respect. But how did this become a legal case against Aarav? What did the prosecution say? What was his defense? It was like two different stories trying to explain that awful night. The prosecution, they said Aarav was jealous, threatened by Priya's success. That's why he became violent.
And they had the evidence, right? Those online comments, the possessiveness, the way he always had to be the center of attention. It all pointed to resentment simmering under the surface.
But Aarav's side had a different story.
What was their argument?
They said it was a crime of passion. A fight that got way out of control. A horrible accident in a moment of rage.
So a tragic mistake, not intentional violence.
Exactly. His lawyers focused on how sorry he was immediately, calling for help, trying to save Priya. They said his actions, as terrible as they were, didn't show a pattern of abuse. Just one awful lapse in judgment.
A moment of weakness because of the pressure in their relationship.
Right? Two very different versions, trying to make sense of what led to Priya's death. So what did the jury believe? What was the verdict?
Aarav was found guilty, but not of murder.
No murder.
They convicted him of culpable homicide not amounting to murder.
Wow. So they acknowledged he didn't plan to kill her.
Yes, but they also recognized the seriousness of his actions, the fact that his anger had fatal consequences.
And the sentence. What was the price for that night?
10 years in prison.
10 years. To think about what he did, the life he took, the future he destroyed.
A heavy sentence. But is there ever real justice in a case like this? Priya's gone, all her potential, her dreams, just gone. And her Aarav, no matter what he intended, will carry the weight of that night forever.
It shows us that actions has consequences, even those done in a moment of anger. And it makes us think about how we deal with conflict, with ambition and envy, especially in relationships today, with all the pressure. This case, it really stays with me. It makes you look past those perfect images online, the highlight reels we create. It makes you wonder how many people are struggling silently, stuck in relationships that are slowly destroying them.
That's the real tragedy, isn't it? The missed chances to talk, to ask for help, to understand that even couples who seem perfect can be fighting their own demons.
If there's one lesson from Aarav and Priya's story, it's this. Talk openly and honestly in your relationships. Make a space where you can both share your fears, your insecurities, your hopes.
And remember, sometimes love means letting go, letting each other grow, even if it means going in different directions.
Because trying to hold on too tight to control someone else's success can end in heartbreak.
This deep dive has taken us into the dark side of ambition, the fragility of love, the terrible consequences of uncontrolled anger.
It's a story reminding us that behind every perfect picture, there's a human story. A mix of emotions, choices, and consequences. And sometimes, those consequences can't be undone. If you or someone you know is dealing with domestic violence, please reach out for help. There's support out there. You're not alone. Thank you for joining us for this exploration of Aarav and Priya's story. We hope it made you think about the complexities of love, ambition, and how important it is to seek help when relationships become harmful. And don't forget to follow and subscribe to CrimePod Castle and our YouTube channel for more true crime stories. Stay curious, stay safe, and take care of each other.